Welcome to all of you. In this lecture, we are going to have a continuation of properties of DFT, that is the circular convolution property. Now the multiplication of two DFTs and circular convolution. The statement: multiplication of the DFTs of two sequences is equivalent to the circular convolution of the two sequences in the time domain. Coming to the proof, so let us consider two finite duration sequences x1 of n and x2 of n of length n. Their respective n point DFTs are. So before making the continuation, let me just tell you or remind you the steps that were involved in the frequency domain calculation, because that's the procedure we are following for this derivation. So in the first step, we are going to have the sequences x1 and x2. In the first step, we are going to calculate the DFT of the sequence x1 of n. We get x1 of k. In the second step, we calculate DFT of the sequence x2 of n. We get x2 of k. In the third step, we are going to multiply the sequences x1 of k and x2 of k in order to obtain the sequence x3 of k, and then apply IDFT to the sequence x3 of k so that we can obtain the final circularly convolved sequence in time domain. So the same procedure what we applied during the calculation, same we are going to apply here also while making the derivation. So we must have two sequences, therefore we have assumed that x1 of n and x2 of n are the two sequences. We must also calculate the output sequence length. Therefore here we are going to make an assumption that x1 of n and x2 of n both are having the sequence length n. So we need not worry about the length of the sequence further. So it's a fixed sequence n. So then after, as per the DFT procedure, as per the calculation procedure, we have to apply the endpoint DFT on each of these two sequences. So let us go further. So here the DFT applied for the sequence x1 of n, we are going to get the x1 of k. Similarly, for one more sequence x2, we have applied the DFT and we are going to get x2 of k. So let us call this as equation 1 and let us call this one as the equation 2. So few things we have to make an observation over here. Till now, with respect to DFT representation, we always made use of the twiddle factor on this right hand side. But in this case, we are making use of the exponential representation. So this exponential representation will help us further in making the solution easier. So that's why in this particular case, we are taking the exponential representation. One more thing, x1 of n here and here x2 of L is present. So this is just a notational variation to indicate these are two separate sequences, and n taken over here and the term n we are using over here, and L is being taken over here. Therefore the corresponding notational variation L is present here. So this is just a notational variation we are going to have. So now we have got the sequences x1 of k and x2 of k. Multiply these two sequences to obtain one more sequence, that is x3 of k. So x3 of k is equal to x1 of k into x2 of k. So multiplication of two DFTs is one more DFT, that is x3 of k. Now we have to apply the IDFT for this x3 of k so that we can obtain the final sequence in time domain. Therefore apply IDFT for x3 of k. So for this equation 3, on both sides we are applying the IDFT. So IDFT of x3 of k is x3 of m, and on the right hand side, so on the right hand side IDFT formula we are realizing 1 divided by n summation k is equal to 0 to n minus 1 x1 of k into x2 of k multiplied with the exponential component we are going to have. Let us call this as equation 4. Now substituting equation 1 and equation 2 in equation 4. So what is that equation 4? This is what the equation 4 that I told you in the previous slide. So what we are substituting? We are having the expression for the DFT x1 of k. We are having the expression for the DFT x2 of k. Now substitute the x1 of k, the expanded form, x2 of k expanded form in this equation, and we are going to get this equation 5. So you can just observe 1 by n summation k is equal to 0 to n minus 1, same as per this equation up to over here. Then after x1 of k, we can write it as summation n is equal to 0 to n minus 1 x1 of n into exponential we can write. Similarly, x2 of k is nothing but summation L is equal to 0 to n minus 1 x2 of L into exponential we can write. So for x1 and x2, these we have substituted as per the equation 1 and 2. The last exponential part, that is written as it is, and we are going to call this as equation 5. Now among so many summations and terminologies, we can make a proper rearrangement of this one so that it looks easier for us to further solution. Now rearranging this complete representations, we are going to have x3 of m is equal to 1 by n. This is a scaling factor 1 by n, so we are not going to disturb it throughout. It will be kept here itself as it is. 1 by n summation n is equal to 0 to n minus 1. So that means this particular summation is being written first, so that has been taken outside. Summation after summation x1 of n. Similarly, this summation along with x2 of L has been taken over here. So summation L is equal to 0 to n minus 1 x2 of L has been taken. Then further this summation k is equal to 0 to n minus 1, so that has been written over here. Along with that, all these three exponential terms are combined together and being written as one exponential term, because we can observe that in all the exponential terms j2 pi k divided by n is a common factor. Only the notation n or the m or the l, they are going to be the different representation. So as per that, we can just combine them together and we can write it as e to the power of j2 pi k. Common factor we are going to take. So m taken from this one, then minus l, so negative sign is present here, then n we have taken here, and minus l, so negative sign present here, and l, it has been written over here. So take care that this exponential applicable to all these three summations. So why we are just interchanging the summations, you have to keep that in mind. See, this summation along with x1 of n has no terminologies related to k. Therefore, with respect to this summation, this is different. So we can just take it outside. Similarly, this summation along with x2 of L has no term that is related to the k. Therefore, we can take it separate. Therefore, but continuation, this exponential is having the term k, this exponential is also having the term k, this one is also having the term k. So that means all these three exponentials are directly related with the term k. Therefore, they all must come inside the summation with respect to k. So that's why here we must keep all the exponentials under the summation with respect to k. Remember, this exponential belongs to all these three summations. Going further, so there is a standard mathematical formula that we are going to have. So that is summation n is equal to 0 to n minus 1 a to the power of k is equal to n for a is equal to 1 minus a to the power of n divided by 1 minus a for a not equal to 1. So with what we can apply this particular terminology. So this is applicable provided if we make an assumption that A is equal to the exponential terminology. So in continuation, the first condition of equation 7 is taken over here. First condition in the sense summation n is equal to 0 to n minus 1 a to the power of k is equal to n. So n at a is equal to 1. This is the first condition we are going to have. Satisfies if L is equal to m minus n in the exponential term. So in the exponential term that we have considered in the previous slide, in that particular exponential term, that is with respect to summation I am talking about, for that if we apply L is equal to m minus n, then that whole exponential will become equal to e to the power of 0, that is equal to 1. Summation of k is equal to 0 to n minus 1 into 1 will be always equal to n. Therefore, we want this value n, so that can be satisfied if and only if I substitute the value L is equal to m minus n in the exponential term. That's what is being written. So L is equal to m minus n in the exponential term, and it just be multiple of n. So for the second condition, that is 1 minus a to the power of n divided by 1 minus a for a not equal to 1. So this is the second condition. For second condition, exponential raised to the power n is always equal to 1. So that has been discussed somewhere previously itself. A to the power of n, where a is the exponential part. So exponential to the power n will be, this n is present here also, here also. So that will cancel each other. This will be simply, this whole term will simply become equal to 1. So apply that a to the power of n is equal to 1 over here. A to the power of n, if I put that is equal to 1, then it will become 1 minus 1 divided by 1 minus this exponential term. So numerator is equal to 0. 0 divided by anything will be equal to 0. Therefore the second part will become equal to 0 for all the cases. Therefore we can write this whole expression as summation k is equal to 0 to n minus 1 a to the power of k is equal to n, provided if I substitute L is equal to m minus n. So this is circular in nature, therefore with respect to n we have taken, and the second part will become equal to 0 otherwise. So let us continue further. Now substitute equation 8 in equation 6. So you can have an observation over here. This one is the equation 8. This one is the equation 6. Now what we have derived, so a to the power of k summation with respect to summation a to the power of k will be equal to n. So that means this terminology summation with respect to k and this exponential, this terminology will become equal to n. The remaining parts we can keep it as it is. At the condition given, L is equal to m minus n with respect to n. So where all L is there, I am going to replace that with m minus n with respect to n I am going to put. One more modification we have to observe. Since this summation ranges of these two remains the same, I can just change that notation to one common notation. So that's what we can observe over here. So x3 of m will be equal to 1 divided by n. This 1 divided by n was present previously while we applied the IDFT, and it is still present here. Summation n is equal to 0 to n minus 1 x1 of n summation n. This previously it was L. notational variation has been done. So n is equal to 0 to n minus 1. x2 of, in the place of L, I'm going to substitute m minus n with respect to n multiplied with n. This n is from this formula, that is this summation with respect to k exponential value is now equal to the value n which has been derived from this one. So this n and this n are same, so once divides and write down what is remaining. So since we are going to have the summation common range, so same summation, so we can just take it as a common factor and we can write it as the time domain representation of the circular convolution, that is x3 of m is equal to summation n is equal to 0 to n minus 1 x1 of n x2 of m minus n with respect to n for all the values of m ranging from 0 to n minus 1. Thanks for joining.